Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars drift past through the main window. The ship had been traveling through the Kepler 442 system for 3 weeks now, mapping planets and looking for signs of life. So far, they had found nothing but empty rocks and cold space. "Sir, we're picking up something strange on the sensors," called out Lieutenant Sam Parker from his station. His voice carried a note of excitement that made Jake turn around quickly. "What? Kind of strange?" Jake asked, walking over to look at the display screen. "It's big, Captain, really big. And it's moving toward us fast." Jake felt his heart start to beat faster. In all his years of space exploration, he had never seen anything like the readings on the screen. The object was massive, at least 10 times larger than their ship, and it was shaped like nothing humans had ever built. "All stop," Jake ordered. "Bring us to a full halt." The ship's engines powered down, and the USS Defiance drifted in space. The crew waited, watching their screens as the mysterious object came closer. When it finally appeared on the main viewer, everyone on the bridge gasped. The ship was made of what looked like purple crystal, twisted and curved in impossible ways. It glowed with its own inner light, and strange symbols moved across its surface like living things. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Captain, they're trying to communicate with us," said Communications Officer Lisa Campbell. She was the ship's expert on alien life, though she had never expected to actually meet any. "Put it through," Jake said, his mouth suddenly dry. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at something that was definitely not human. The being had a long, thin face with large eyes that seemed to glow with purple light. Its skin was pale and smooth, and when it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was calm and cold. "I am Speaker Zeth of the Valorian Collective. We have been watching your species for some time." Jake stepped forward, trying to look confident even though his hands were shaking. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Space Command. We come in peace." The alien's expression didn't change. "Peace is what we wish to discuss, Captain Morrison. Your species has been expanding into space at an alarming rate. This concerns us." "Concerns you how?" Jake asked. "Young species like yours often become dangerous when they develop space travel too quickly. We have seen it happen many times before. Worlds are destroyed. Civilizations are lost. The galaxy suffers." Lisa Campbell moved closer to Jake's side. As the ship's scientist, she had dreamed of this moment her whole life. But something about the alien's tone made her feel afraid instead of excited. "We're not dangerous," she said. "We're explorers. We want to learn about the universe." "That is what they all say," Speaker Zeth replied. "But your species shows troubling signs. You fight wars among yourselves. You destroy your own planet's environment. You create weapons of terrible power. These are not the actions of a peaceful species." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. "We're not perfect, but we're trying to do better. That's why we're out here, exploring space instead of fighting each other." "Your efforts are noted, but insufficient," the alien said. "The Valorian Collective has made a decision. Your species must be contained before you become a threat to galactic peace." "Contained?" Jake asked. "What do you mean?" "All human colonies must be abandoned. Your species must return to Earth and remain there. No more ships will leave your system. No more expansion into space will be permitted." The bridge fell silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. This was not how First Contact was supposed to go. "And if we refuse?" Jake asked quietly. For the first time, something like emotion crossed the alien's face. It might have been pity, or it might have been something darker. "Then corrective measures will be taken." Your ships will be disabled. Your colonies will be evacuated. Your species will be forced to comply. You can't do that, Lisa said, stepping forward. We have rights. We have the right to explore space, to grow as a species. Rights are a luxury afforded to civilized species, Speaker Zeth replied. Your species has not yet proven itself worthy of such privileges. Jake felt his crew looking at him, waiting for his response. He thought about the 1,000,000 people living on Mars, the researchers on Europa, the mining stations in the asteroid belt. He thought about humanity's dreams of reaching the stars. We won't abandon our colonies, he said firmly. And we won't be caged like animals. The alien's eyes seemed to glow brighter. Then you choose conflict over wisdom. This is exactly why your species cannot be trusted with the freedom of space. Suddenly, every system on the USS Defiance began to fail. The lights dimmed, the engines went dead, and the weapon systems shut down completely. The crew worked frantically at their stations, but nothing responded. This is a demonstration of our power, Speaker Zeth said. Your technology is like a child's toy compared to ours. We could destroy your ship with a thought, but we choose mercy. The alien ship began to pull away, and gradually the systems on. The Defiance came back online, but the message was clear. Humanity was helpless against this threat. You have 72 hours, Speaker Zeth said as his image began to fade. Recall all your colonies. Confine yourselves to Earth. This is your only warning. The screen went dark, and the crystal ship vanished as if it had never been there. Jake stood in the silence, knowing that everything had just changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and they were definitely not welcome. The day that aliens provoked humanity had begun. The emergency meeting began exactly 12 hours after the USS Defiance sent its report back to Earth. President Amy Sullivan sat at the head of the table in the crisis room deep beneath the White House, surrounded by the most powerful people in human space. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. We are facing the greatest crisis in human history. Captain Morrison's report has been confirmed by our deep space sensors. The alien ship was real, and so is their threat. General Kevin Hayes, head of the Solar Defense Force, slammed his fist on the table. We can't just roll over and play dead. Humanity has worked too hard to get where we are. We have colonies on 3 worlds and mining stations throughout the system. We're not giving all that up because some aliens told us to. Ambassador Helen Turner shook her head. General, you saw what they did to the Defiance. They disabled our most advanced ship without even trying. What chance do we have against technology like that? We have the chance that comes from being human, Hayes replied. We don't give up when things get tough. We fight. Dr. Lisa Campbell, who had been brought to Earth immediately after the encounter, spoke up from her seat. Fighting might not be our only option. I've been studying the recording of our conversation with Speaker Zeth. There might be more to this than we understand. President Sullivan leaned forward. What do you mean, Doctor? The alien spoke about other species, other worlds that had been destroyed. But he also mentioned a collective. That suggests they're not acting alone. There might be some kind of galactic government or council that makes these decisions. So what are you suggesting? General Hayes asked. I'm suggesting we need to learn more before we make any decisions. We need to understand who we're dealing with and what they really want. On Mars, Colonial Administrator Ben Clark was dealing with his own crisis. The Red Planet's 1,000,000 colonists had heard the news, and panic was spreading through the domed cities like wildfire. We're not leaving, declared Maria Santos, the leader of the Mars Mining Union. My family has been here for 3 generations. This is our home now. Ben nodded grimly. I understand how you feel, Maria, but we need to think about this carefully. If these aliens are as powerful as they seem, resistance might be suicide. And surrender definitely is, replied Dr. Ryan Scott, the head of the Mars Science Institute. If we go back to Earth now, we'll never get another chance. Humanity will be stuck on one world forever. Similar conversations were happening on Europa, where Research Director Nicole Foster was trying to calm her team of scientists. The Ice Moon's research stations were humanity's most advanced outpost, and the work they were doing there could change the future of the species. We've made too many breakthroughs to just walk away, Foster argued during a heated meeting with her staff. The alien technology we detected might be the key to everything. If we can understand how they disabled our ships, we might be able to defend ourselves. Back on Earth, President Sullivan was receiving reports from all the colonies. The message was clear. The colonists didn't want to leave, and they were prepared to fight to stay. "Madam President," said General Hayes, "our people are ready to resist. The question is whether we're going to support them or abandon them." "It's not that simple, General," Ambassador Turner replied. "We're talking about a war against beings who can disable our ships with their minds. We need to try diplomacy first." "Diplomacy?" Hayes laughed bitterly. "They didn't come here to negotiate. They came here to give us orders. That's not diplomacy. That's conquest." Dr. Campbell had been quiet during most of the meeting, but now she stood up. "There's something else we need to consider. The alien mentioned that they've been watching us for some time. That means they know about our technology, our weapons, our defenses, but we know almost nothing about them." "What are you getting at?" the President asked. "I think we need to find out more about these Valorians before the 72-hour deadline. If they've been watching us, there might be traces of their presence in our sensor records. We might be able to learn something useful." The President nodded. "Do it. General Hayes, I want you to prepare our defenses, but quietly. No provocative moves until we know more. Ambassador Turner, start working on a diplomatic response. Maybe we can buy more time." As the meeting broke up, each person knew that the next few days would determine humanity's future. The aliens had given them a choice: submit or face the consequences. But humans had never been good at following orders from bullies. On Mars, Ben Clark was meeting with his security chief, Tony Martinez. "Tony, I need you to quietly prepare the mining equipment for possible military use. Don't make it obvious, but if we need to fight, we'll use whatever we have." "You got it, boss," Martinez replied. "Those plasma cutters could do some serious damage if we need them to." Meanwhile, on Europa, Dr. Foster was working with her team to analyze every piece of data they had about the alien encounter. "There has to be something we're missing," she muttered, staring at the sensor readings. "No technology is perfect. There has to be a weakness." Young Danny Walsh, a 16-year-old computer genius who worked in the research station's computer lab, looked up from his screen. "Dr. Foster, what if their weakness isn't in their technology? What if it's in them?" "What do you mean?" "Well, they seemed really concerned about us becoming dangerous. Maybe they're not as powerful as they want us to think. Maybe they're afraid of something." Dr. Foster paused, considering the teenager's words. "That's an interesting thought, Danny. Keep working on it." As the 72-hour deadline approached, humanity prepared for the unknown. Some prepared for war, others for surrender, and a few prepared for something else entirely. But all of them knew that when the deadline passed, nothing would ever be the same again. The storm was gathering, and humanity was about to find out what they were really made of. The attack came exactly 72 hours after the first contact. Just as the sun was rising over Washington, D.C., President Amy Sullivan was in the Situation Room when the first reports started coming in. "Madam President," General Hayes said, his face pale as he looked at the incoming data. "They're everywhere. Alien ships have appeared over every major city on Earth, every colony, every space station. They came out of nowhere. On the main screen, satellite feeds showed the same terrifying sight repeated across the globe. Massive crystal ships hung in the sky like dark clouds, their purple light casting strange shadows on the ground below. But they weren't attacking in the way anyone had expected. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Commander Sarah Jenkins from the Orbital Defense Station, "they're not using weapons. They're doing something else entirely." The aliens' method was far more disturbing than simple destruction. Energy fields began to appear around cities, starting as faint shimmers in the air and growing stronger by the minute. Within hours, entire metropolitan areas found themselves trapped under glowing domes of alien energy. In New York, millions of people pressed against the barriers, finding them solid as steel, but warm to the touch. The energy fields didn't hurt anyone, but they were impossible to break. Cars couldn't drive through them. Planes couldn't fly over them. Even radio signals were blocked. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding a hastily assembled fleet of Earth's remaining ships, watched in horror as his home planet was carved up like a piece of fruit. "All ships, prepare for attack run," he ordered. "We're going to hit the command ship." "Sir," his weapons officer called out, "our missiles aren't working. The targeting systems are dead." Morrison looked at his displays and saw the same thing happening to every human ship in the fleet. Their weapons simply wouldn't fire. The aliens were somehow preventing them from even trying to fight back. "This is impossible," he muttered. "How are they doing this?" On Mars, Ben Clark was discovering that the Red Planet's colonists had advantages the aliens hadn't expected. The mining colonies were spread out across the planet's surface, connected by underground tunnels that the alien energy fields couldn't penetrate. "Tony," he called to his security chief, "gather all the mining equipment you can find. If we can't use guns, we'll use whatever we have." Tony Martinez grinned grimly. "Already on it, boss. Those plasma cutters are designed to slice through solid rock. Let's see how they work on alien ships." The first real success came from an unexpected source. Danny Walsh, the teenage computer expert on Europa, had been working on something the adults had dismissed as impossible. While hiding in the research station's computer lab as alien scouts searched the facility, he managed to do something no one thought could be done. "Dr. Foster," he whispered into his communicator. "I'm in there?" "Network? What do you mean?" Nicole Foster replied from her hiding place in the ice tunnels beneath the station. "I hacked their communications. It wasn't easy, but their security is different from ours. They weren't expecting someone to try what I tried. What did you find?" Danny's voice was excited but scared. "They're not what they pretend to be. The Valorian Collective isn't some big galactic government. They're just one species, and they're dying. Dying how? Their planet is gone. Their population is down to just a few thousand. They're using their remaining technology to try to stop other species from becoming more advanced than they are. They think it's the only way to stay relevant." This information reached General Hayes just as Earth's last free military base was preparing for what looked like a final battle. The news changed everything. "So they're not invincible gods," Hayes said to his staff. "They're desperate survivors with fancy technology." "But their technology still works," pointed out Colonel Amanda Price, his second in command. "Even if they're weak, they can still defeat us." "Maybe," Hayes replied, "but desperate people make mistakes. And I think we're about to make them very desperate." The breakthrough came when Dr. Foster, working with the intelligence Danny had gathered, made a crucial discovery. The alien energy fields weren't powered by the ships themselves. They were connected to a central source, like a wireless network. "If we can disrupt the signal," she explained in a message to Earth, "all the fields should collapse at once. The plan that emerged was simple but dangerous. Captain Morrison would lead a suicide mission to plant a quantum disruptor on the alien command ship. The device, built using principles stolen from the aliens' own technology, would create a feedback loop that would overload their entire system. "Sir," said Morrison's pilot, Sarah Jenkins, "the chances of us surviving this are pretty much zero." "No," Morrison replied. "But if we don't try, humanity doesn't have a future." The attack began with diversions across the solar system. On Mars, the colonists launched their improvised assault using mining equipment and pure human determination. The aliens, who had never faced plasma cutters and drilling lasers used as weapons, found themselves caught off guard. On Europa, Dr. Foster's team used the Ice Moon's research equipment to create electromagnetic pulses. That disrupted the alien scouts' communication systems. For the first time since the invasion began, human weapons were actually affecting the invaders. But the real battle was happening in Earth's orbit, where Morrison's small fleet approached the massive command ship. The aliens' defensive systems tried to disable the human ships, but the quantum disruptor was already active, creating interference that made their technology less effective. "All right, people," Morrison said as his ship approached the alien vessel's hull. "This is for humanity. Whatever happens next, we've shown them that humans don't give up." The explosion, when it came, was visible from Earth's surface. A brilliant flash of light erupted from the alien command ship, and suddenly every energy field around every human city began to flicker and fade. In New York, the energy barrier around the city simply vanished. People poured out of their trapped neighborhoods, cheering and crying with relief. Similar scenes played out across the globe as humanity found itself free again, but the victory had come at a cost. Captain Morrison and half his crew were gone, sacrificed to save their species. As the alien fleet began to retreat, damaged and powerless, the humans they had tried to suppress were already planning their next move. The day everything changed was ending, but humanity's real story was just beginning. The weeks following the alien attack were unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. Instead of celebrating their victory, people across the solar system threw themselves into the greatest cooperative effort in human history. Dr. Lisa Campbell stood in her new laboratory on Luna, Earth's moon, surrounded by technology that had been impossible to imagine just months before. The quantum disruptor had worked, but it had also given humanity something even more valuable, a complete understanding of how alien technology functioned. "The beauty of it," she explained to her team, "is that their technology isn't magic. It's just science we haven't learned yet. And now we have all the data we need to catch up." The hidden lunar facility had become the center of human resistance research. Scientists from Earth, Mars, and Europa worked together, sharing knowledge and resources in ways that would have been impossible during peacetime. War, it seemed, had a way of making people forget their differences. General Kevin Hayes visited the facility regularly, bringing reports from across the solar system. "The Valorians are regrouping," he told Campbell during one of his visits. "Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for a second attack." "Let them come," Campbell replied, gesturing to the rows of new devices her team had created. "We're not the same species they attacked before." The transformation was most obvious on Mars, where Ben Clark had turned the mining colonies into something resembling a military-industrial complex. The Red Planet's vast underground tunnel systems had become factories, producing weapons and equipment designed specifically to fight alien technology. "The beauty of being miners," Tony Martinez explained to a group of visiting Earth officials, "is that we're used to working with dangerous equipment in hostile environments. These plasma cutters we've modified can slice through alien hull material like it's paper." But the real innovation was happening on Europa. Dr. Nicole Foster had made a discovery that changed everything they thought they knew about the aliens. Working with young Danny Walsh, she had found something incredible in the intercepted alien communications. "They're not just afraid of us becoming advanced," she explained during a video conference with Earth. "They're afraid of us specifically. Human consciousness works differently from other species they've encountered." "What do you mean?" asked President Sullivan from her secure bunker. "Their telepathic control systems are designed to work with minds that think in predictable patterns. But human minds are chaotic, creative, unpredictable. We're naturally resistant to their mental influence." Danny Walsh, now recognized as one of humanity's top experts on alien technology, despite being only 16, expanded on the discovery. "It's like they're trying to play chess with someone who doesn't follow the rules. They can't predict what we'll do next because we don't even know what we'll do next." This revelation led to the development of new defensive systems. If human unpredictability was a weapon, then humanity would learn to use it effectively. Training programs were established to teach people how to think in ways that would confuse alien mental scanners. The colonies became the backbone of human defense. Mars provided industrial capacity, Europa offered scientific research, and the asteroid mining stations supplied raw materials. What the aliens had seen as scattered outposts became a distributed network that was impossible to destroy completely. Captain Sarah Jenkins, now promoted to command her own ship after Morrison's sacrifice, led patrols through the asteroid belt. "The thing about us humans," she told her crew, "is that we're good at turning obstacles into advantages. The aliens see a bunch of rocks floating in space. We see a fortress." The asteroid miners had indeed turned their installations into defensive positions. Using the same technology they used to move asteroids, they could now launch massive rocks at attacking ships. The aliens' energy shields could stop energy weapons, but they had trouble with simple kinetic impacts. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways," laughed Pete Johnson, a veteran miner who had been working the belt for 20 years. "You want to hurt something? Throw a rock at it. A really big rock." The breakthrough that would change the war came from an unexpected source. Maria Gonzalez, an engineer working on Luna, was studying the wreckage of the alien ship the Captain Morrison had destroyed. She found something that made her call Dr. Campbell immediately. "Lisa, you need to see this," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "What is it?" "I've been analyzing the alien ship's construction. Their technology isn't just advanced, it's old. Really old. I think their civilization has been using the same basic designs for thousands of years." Campbell arrived at the laboratory within hours. What she saw there made her understand why the aliens were so afraid of younger species. They've stopped innovating, she realized. Their technology is advanced, but it's also static. They haven't created anything new in millennia. "Exactly," Maria replied. "But we create new things every day. Every time we solve a problem, we learn something new. Every time we face a challenge, we become stronger." This discovery led to the development of humanity's secret weapon, adaptability, while the aliens relied on technology that hadn't changed. In thousands of years, humans were constantly improving and modifying their equipment. The second alien attack came exactly 3 months after the first one. This time, the Valorians came with more ships and more powerful weapons. But they were fighting a different enemy than before. "All units, this is General Hayes," came the broadcast to every human ship and station in the solar system. "Show them. What happens when you provoke a species that refuses to give up?" The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens' superior technology met human creativity and determination. Where alien ships fired energy beams, human ships responded with modified mining equipment and improvised weapons. The asteroid miners launched waves of rocks at the alien fleet. The Mars colonies unleashed swarms of modified mining drones. The Europa research stations used their deep space sensors to coordinate attacks across the entire solar system. But the real surprise came from Earth itself. The planet's population had not been idle during the months of preparation. Every major city now had defensive systems based on alien technology, operated by people who had learned to think in ways that confused alien scanners. "Target the command ship," ordered Admiral Rodriguez, who had taken over fleet operations after Morrison's death. "If we can take out their central coordination, the rest of the fleet will be vulnerable." The assault on the Valorian command ship was led by Sarah Jenkins, flying a ship equipped with the latest quantum disruption technology. But this time, humans weren't just using alien technology, they were improving it. "Jenkins to all ships," she broadcast as her fighter approached the massive alien vessel. "Remember, they might be more advanced than us, but they're not more determined than us. Let's show them what humanity can do." The explosion that followed was even more spectacular than the first one. But this time, it wasn't just one ship that was destroyed. The improved quantum disruptor created a cascade effect that disabled the entire alien fleet dot as the Valorian ships drifted powerless in space. Humanity prepared for what everyone knew would be the final confrontation. The aliens had underestimated human ingenuity twice. They wouldn't get a third chance. The final battle for humanity's freedom began not with explosions or energy beams, but with a message. Speaker Zeth of the Valorian Collective appeared on screens across the human solar system. But this time he looked different. The confident, superior being who had first threatened humanity was gone, replaced by something that looked tired and afraid. "Humans of Earth," he began, his voice lacking the cold authority it had once carried. "We wish to discuss terms for your surrender." President Amy Sullivan, now operating from a secure command center on Luna, looked at the alien's image with a mixture of anger and pity. "Terms? You're not in a position to dictate terms, Speaker Zeth. Your fleet is disabled, your technology has been compromised, and your people are stranded in our solar system." "We are still more advanced than you," Zeth replied, but his words sounded hollow. "We have knowledge you cannot imagine. Knowledge that you've refused to use for anything but control and intimidation," Sullivan shot back. "We've learned a lot about you in the past few months. We know you're dying out. We know you're afraid of younger species. And we know you're not the powerful galactic collective you pretended to be." The conversation was being broadcast to every human settlement in the solar system. On Mars, Ben Clark watched with his colonists as their president faced down the aliens who had tried to destroy their dreams. On Europa, Dr. Nicole Foster and Danny Walsh monitored the alien communications networks, ready to act if the Valorians tried any tricks. "You do not understand the dangers you represent," Zeth continued. "Young species like yours always become destructive. We have seen it happen countless times. Entire civilizations have been destroyed by species that expanded too quickly into space." "Maybe," replied Dr. Lisa Campbell, who had joined the president for the negotiation. "But maybe those civilizations were destroyed because someone tried to cage them instead of helping them grow." This was the moment that would change everything. Campbell had been studying the alien records that Danny Walsh had extracted from their networks. What she had found, there was not evidence of humanity's dangerous nature, but evidence of the Valorians' failures. "We've seen your historical records," she continued. "Every species you've contained has either died out or become stagnant. You haven't preserved galactic peace. You've prevented galactic growth. Growth leads to conflict," Zeth insisted. "Growth leads to progress," Campbell replied, "and progress leads to solutions. You've been so afraid of war that you've forgotten how to live." The negotiation continued for hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Valorians were outnumbered, outgunned, and most importantly, out of options. Their technology had been compromised, their fleet was disabled, and their people were trapped in a solar system controlled by the species they had tried to subjugate. But humanity surprised them again. Instead of demanding surrender, President Sullivan offered something unexpected: cooperation. "We know you're dying out," she said during the final session. "We know your planet is gone and your population is small. But we also know you have knowledge and experience that could help us avoid the mistakes other species have made. You would trust us after what we have done?" Zeph asked, genuine surprise in his voice. "We would give you the chance to prove you can be better than what you've been." Sullivan replied, "Work with us instead of against us. Help us grow responsibly instead of trying to stop us from growing at all." The agreement that emerged from these negotiations created a new model for galactic civilization. The Valorians would share their knowledge and experience, helping humanity develop spacefaring technology responsibly. In exchange, humanity would share their research and innovation, helping the Valorians find new ways to preserve their dying civilization. General Kevin Hayes, now promoted to head the new Terran Defense Initiative, wasn't entirely happy with the arrangement. "We're trusting people who tried to destroy us," he complained during a meeting with the president. "We're giving them a chance to become something better," Sullivan replied. "Besides, we're not being naive. We'll be watching them very carefully." The watching was done by people like Danny Walsh, now 18 and heading his own intelligence division. His ability to hack alien systems had made him invaluable to Earth's security apparatus. "The thing about the Valorians," he explained to his team, "is that they're not evil, they're just scared. And scared people can become allies if you give them something to hope for." 5 years after the first alien attack, the solar system had become something nobody could have imagined. Human colonies had spread to dozens of worlds, protected by a defense network that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. The Valorians had established their own settlements on worlds that humans couldn't use, working alongside their former enemies to explore and develop space. Admiral Sarah Rodriguez, formerly Captain Jenkins, stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour as it prepared for humanity's first mission outside the solar system. The ship was a marvel of combined human and Valorian technology, capable of traveling distances that had once seemed impossible. "All systems green," reported her second-in-command. "We're ready for jump to hyperspace." Rodriguez looked out at the stars, thinking about how much had changed since that first terrifying encounter with Speaker Zeph. The aliens who had tried to cage humanity had inadvertently freed them, pushing them to develop technology and capabilities they never would have achieved on their own. "Helm, take us out," she ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy what humans can do when they work together instead of alone." The jump to hyperspace was smooth, carrying the Endeavour toward distant stars that held the promise of new worlds and new challenges. Behind them, the solar system had become a beacon of cooperation, proof that different species could work together when they chose progress over fear. Speaker Zeph, now serving as an advisor to the human government, watched the ship's departure. From his office on Luna, his own species had found new purpose working with humans, their ancient wisdom combined with human innovation, creating possibilities neither could have achieved alone. "Perhaps," he said to himself, "the young species are not the danger we thought they were. Perhaps the real danger was in trying to stop them from becoming what they were meant to be." The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers that humanity had yet to discover. But they would face those challenges with allies at their side, armed with the knowledge that cooperation was stronger than conflict, and that growth was more powerful than fear. The day the aliens provoked humanity had indeed changed everything. But it had changed it in ways that nobody, human or alien, could have predicted. Instead of destroying humanity's dreams, the Valorians had helped them come true. And in doing so, they had found a way to save their own dying civilization. Stars were calling, and humanity was finally ready to answer.